Hi guys. I'm hoping that you are liking our next poem by Walt Whitman, "Oh Captain, My Captain." Hopefully you enjoyed that little video that I put through for yesterday as you just get started. And today we're just going to analyze this poem together. So let me share my screen and we'll get started. So this is Walt Whitman's paying homage to the death of Abraham Lincoln. So this really is considered an extended metaphor in an elegy. Remember, an elegy is a poem that pays tribute to somebody who's died. Like a eulogy, maybe you've heard of that word. A eulogy is something that somebody says at a funeral. An elegy is a poem that would be kind of like that same idea, but in a poem form. So Walt Whitman here is, showing America that they could grieve the death of their loved ones during the Civil War, as well as the death of this great president, Abraham Lincoln. So sometimes this is called an analogy throughout, or sometimes called an extended metaphor. But here there's really three major allusions throughout the poem. We're going to talk about these. The first major allusion is to the captain. The captain is of the ship in the poem is Abraham Lincoln. The ship is the United States at the time, and the trip that is discussed in the poem alludes to the Civil War being over. And so those three major allusions throughout the poem. So let's read this, and then we will go through the three stanzas together and talk about some of the figurative language and poetic devices. "O Captain, My Captain" by Walt Whitman. "O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But O heart, 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 O the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my Captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Dear Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head, it is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My Captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my Captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead." Okay, so a lot of things going on here. You can see that Walt Whitman really, really cared for, loved Abraham Lincoln, everything he stood for, even calling him his father, right? So there's really two major kind of meanings, double meanings going on here. When we're talking about exalting, people exalting, for you bouquets of ribboned wreaths, for you the bugle trills, rise up and hear the bells, those are kind of have double meaning. Those could be, for the end of the war, right? For the end of the war, we sound the trumpets, we are crowding the shores, waiting for those ships to come home. But also, those are also the things that we would do for a funeral, right? We bring crowds, we have military funerals where the bugle is trilling. We also have bouquets and ribbons and flowers at funerals. And so really this is kind of that double meaning throughout this poem. So let's look at the first stanza here. The first stanza, he's calling, Walt Whitman is calling Abraham Lincoln his captain. So that first allusion, Abraham Lincoln is the captain. And our fearful trip, the fearful trip is, again, the Civil War, alluding to the Civil War. We've won the prize. The war has been won by the North. Of course, that's what we know as, in history, Abraham Lincoln stands for, anti-slavery, things like that the North would want. So the North wins, the prize they sought. They're talking about hearing the bells from this trip being done, and then you see how the poem was written with this angular stanza because it's supposed to kind of symbolize him falling, right? He repeats here this reiteration, heart, 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 because he's grabbing onto the emotions of the reader. And again, if you watched the video from yesterday, it's talking about us being able to deal with our feelings of death and mourning and grieving, okay? So the captain has died. And so again, this is, you know, symbolizing and this elegy written and to pay homage of Lincoln's death. The second stanza is really talking about this double meaning with the bugle trilling and the shores crowding, the bouquets, flag is flung, all of these things that would have double meaning as far as either a funeral or, you know, a celebration that the war has been won. All these double meanings here, okay? And then the last stanza, the third stanza, just talking about how, you know, the ship being, again, an allusion to the United States. We're safe and sound. Our voyage is closed and done. The war is over. Our fearful trip is done. We've won, but the captain is still dead. So really, this is just a basic 3 stanzas, really just giving us this historical allusion to Abraham Lincoln and his death, okay? So that's kind of the basic poem. I really enjoyed this poem by Walt Whitman, and hopefully you did too. So now you can answer the questions accordingly.